Hello and welcome to the travel show from Bruges in Belgium. Coming up on this week's programme.
The families fighting to keep tradition afloat.
If you open it up like Amsterdam or Venice, that would kill the charm.
The woman proving there's no one-size-fits-all traveller.
Wanted to talk to you about being a plus-size person who loves to travel.
And taking swimming to the extreme in West Africa.
Obviously, I feel tired. I feel tired all the time, and my muscles are aching, but I also do experience a lot of joy. 1, 2, 3.
For centuries, cities have competed and feuded with each other, though nowadays it's more often to the benefit of visitors as rivals bid to offer more compelling attractions. Some famous rivalries between cities around the world include Spain's Barcelona and Madrid, over in India, Delhi and Mumbai, and in the States, New York versus LA, while in Australia it's got to be Sydney and Melbourne. And here in Bruges, it is with Ghent. Both cities are full of medieval architecture, but Ghent is far bigger, with a university, and has made its name as a foodie destination. Though Bruges claims the chocolates, they say a better football team, and is considered a more romantic destination.
Let me ask you, Bruges or Ghent?
I would say Ghent.
Why?
It's a bigger city. It's also a student city, so there's a lot of life, more life, I would say.
Ghent, 100%.
Why?
For everything. All the color of the city, you have so many places to go every day. The bars, the restaurant, the food, the people.
Well, to be honest, I do prefer Bruges.
Both of them has a very rich history. And that's why I come back every year, actually.
And that rivalry gets really intense when the neighbouring city threatens to muscle in on your patch.
The canal boat trips have always been run here in Bruges by 5 families, though now that's about to change, as soon the waterways will be opened up to outsiders, and that includes Ghent.
Michiel. Hey,
Good
Roger.
morning.
Good morning. How are you? So I'm actually the 4th generation that is doing this type of work.
Michiel's great-grandmother actually started the business when his great-grandfather was a soldier.
He wasn't allowed to do business aside from being in the army. So his wife took on this business at that time, and then later on passed it over to my grandfather, went to my father, and now I'm here.
Now, the future looks like it's going to change things. Can you explain to me what that situation is?
Well, I'm not much of a fortune teller, so I don't know, but yeah, in 2028, they're gonna open up the market. Bruges is beautiful because it is contained, and if you open it up like Amsterdam or Venice, that would kill the charm.
As part of the changes coming in, all the boats operating on the Bruges Canal will need to become electric.
We've been investing in electrical boats, which costs about, I don't know, 300,000 euros a boat. So we have to invest in 2 more. We already have 2. I don't know any people who would invest, call it €1 million, and not being sure that you'll be able to still do the job. I mean, we're proud of what we've achieved and what we're doing here as a job. So I'm trusting that the city sees that and wouldn't kick us aside. You can see some blood splatters towards the end if you look.
Have you ever had any accidents with people?
Yeah, we took a basketball team from the NBA once. Didn't work out well.
What would you feel, how would you feel, if a family from Ghent got your slot on the canals?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't feel great.
To get a sense of how important it's always been for locals to control and protect the canals, a new VR experience lets you visualise this city back in the medieval days. And I even get to sit in a wooden boat.
So magical to be transported back 6-7 centuries to when that rivalry between Bruges and Ghent first started. I love this, it's so immersive. I'm going to watch my head, low bridges.
Apparently, there are still examples all around the city about that rivalry, and I've just the man to show me them. David has created a comedic walking tour, showing the other side of Bruges through a local's perspective.
So tell me, where did this rivalry between Bruges and Ghent start?
It's 1382. The Count of Flanders, this was where he lived actually. This was the burg, which means the castle. This is it. With the Count being so evil and wicked, people from Ghent were actually starving. He tried to starve them into submission. Eventually, people from Ghent just arrived in the city with the gates wide open. Nobody was opposing them, and everybody who opposed them was killed, slaughtered, and their belongings were taken. And as a prize, as a trophy, they took down the golden dragon that was on top of the cathedral and brought it to Ghent.
To this day, a golden dragon sits on the belfry in Ghent as a symbol of freedom and power of the city.
So Bruges has the golden crosses, they have the golden dragon.
Yes, yes, yes.
And the spoils of war.
You were wondering probably, are we still stealing things from each other, Bruges and Ghent? Well, now it's actually people. Yes, we're taking tourists, but they're taking all our creative people.
So, the water, very important to this city.
Yeah, absolutely, because it used to be a port where boats arrived from all over the world carrying spices, exotic birds, cloth, everything. And what we had here to sell, it was put on a boat and exported all over the world. As you can see now, we're still loading and unloading things. It's no longer cloth or spices. We're unloading and reloading tourists. I used to live in this street. It has 14 chocolate shops. Wow. This is the guild house of the shoemakers. That was done. Now they do other stuff in this house. You see that medieval building next to that building with the compass on the right side, with a little tower?
Yeah.
That was built in 1952. Yeah, my dad is older than that. You have to be honest, Bruges is actually a very nice, beautiful city. But on the party side, nightlife, music scene, that's not really happening over here. Therefore, you would have to go to Ghent, so you have to give it to them. The closest thing to a party is when these bells are playing. That's a belfry, and sometimes they even play ABBA, which is quite annoying.
All jokes aside, Bruges retains a charm for visitors, and whilst change is inevitable in any city, locals hope it can be done in a way that preserves some tradition and authenticity. And as for the rivalry with Ghent, well, they offer complementary experiences, and they're only a boat or train ride away from each other, so hey, why not go to both?
Now, if you're thinking about taking a trip to Belgium anytime soon, here are some travel show top tips for things to see and do.
Well, the two things that Belgium is probably best known around the world for are beer and chocolates. You'll find over 300 breweries here, and Belgian chocolate is rated to be some of the best in the world. The secret to its success? Well, much of it is still handmade and uses the best quality cocoa beans, milled to a grain of only around 15 to 18 microns, which to you and me means it tastes a lot smoother. If you're looking for an equally smooth ride, then you definitely won't get it at the annual Regatta de Banois that takes place every August the 15th in the town of Dinant on the River Meuse. Started back in 1982, it takes place on the same day every year, with participants competing to create the most impressive bathtub-based craft. About 50 tubs compete every year, but there's no limit on how many people can ride in each of them. Up to 25,000 spectators pack the riverbanks to watch as waterborne chaos usually ensues. But if you can't wait till then, next month sees the appropriately named town of Boom play host to the Tomorrowland Dance Music Festival. Held over the last 2 weekends of July, the festival will see 600 DJs play their sets across 14 different stages. Tomorrowland is the brainchild of Belgian brothers Manu and Michiel Beers and has been voted Best Musical Event of the Year 5 times in a row at the International Dance Music Awards.
Well, there's plenty to come still on this week's show. And here is what's coming up.
How to take on the world, whatever your size.
There are going to be people with an opinion about your weight no matter where you go.
And a test of total endurance.
It's really tiring. And so there is an element of having to fight the tiredness and also fight the tedium and fight the boredom.
So don't go away.
Next this week, our series about travelling differently. This time we meet the woman who decided that body shamers were not going to stop her from doing what she loves most.
I'm such an explorer. I'm such a natural sort of nomadic person. I want to see the world, and so travel for me is my happy place. It's joy. When I'm in one place for too long, I feel just not myself. Like I always want to be on the go. I'm Kelly Brown. I'm a YouTuber, influencer, and traveler. Good morning. It's our first full day in Lisbon. We actually got here yesterday. Delirium, jet lag, checking into our Airbnb. All we did was kind of take a walk around the neighborhood, but today we're out and about. We're going to explore. So as much as travel excites me, there are things that can be sort of intimidating. Being a plus size person, you never know what levels of fat phobia you might be exposed to. You know, different cultures I think are a little bit more outwardly fat phobic, but it's not something that would stop me from going where I want to be.
Just a couple of girls on their way to Barcelona. We have a long flight and we're about to have a lot of fun. So come with us, come.
When it comes to flights, you know, I think it's something that I didn't realize how many larger people were really afraid of until I would talk about traveling on my YouTube channel. Wanted to talk to you about traveling while fat, AKA being a plus size person who loves to travel. And, you know, I would get comments like, you know, I'm so terrified of flying, not because I'm afraid of the plane, but I'm afraid of like how people will perceive me or my seatmate, or, you know, if I have to ask for a seatbelt extender. I've had someone roll their eyes one time, like I was walking past their seat and it like rolled their eyes like, are you sitting with me? And I wasn't. And I ended up being lucky and having like the whole row to myself, to which I was like laid out and they were like all crushed. I'm like, that's what you get. So I decided a long time ago to like let go of caring, or, you know, the flight attendant will like sort of pass it to you so discreetly, like, here honey, here you go. And I'm like, thank you. Click. Just wandering down random alleys in a strange land. Whether you're in, you know, traveling in Europe or traveling in Asia, traveling in Africa, traveling throughout the US, in Australia, you know, I think there are going to be people with an opinion about your weight no matter where you go. And so how that informs the place, you know, the choices I make when it comes to travel is to not make that a thing. You know, first thing I care about is like, you know, safety and, you know, what's happening globally. Like, are they in crisis? Are they in war? Like, these are the things you think about when you're traveling. Because if you worry about how every single person in any given country or city is going to receive your largeness, you wouldn't go anywhere. I could go down the street to the grocery store and someone can have an opinion about me. You know, it's not going to prevent me from walking around the city in which I live, and so it can't prevent me from exploring the world. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, your dance break.
Well, up next, another in our series of remarkable people going on incredible journeys. And this time we're off to Ghana in West Africa to meet a woman who's putting her love of swimming to good use by taking on one of Africa's great rivers.
I am traveling 450 kilometers down the Volta River, including Volta Lake, from the northern part of Ghana to the southernmost part of Ghana, as part of a research and swim expedition called the Agbechi Living Water Expedition. What we're doing is collecting water and air samples to look at the quality of water along this stretch of the country, specifically looking for microfibers from textiles. The Volta River is one of perhaps the most important internal waterway in Ghana. For the communities that live along the Volta River, it's a source of food and industry, business. It has a lot of cultural and spiritual significance as well. The reason there's a Volta Lake at all is because of the construction of the Akosombo Dam. And the dam is a very important hydroelectric source of power for the country. Normally, I will swim for, in the right conditions, for 2 or 2.5 hours in the morning. If the conditions are bad, it might be more like 1 hour in the morning. And during that time, I'm accompanied by one of the crew members who's in a kayak, just to make sure that I'm okay and also that I'm swimming in the right direction. When you're swimming, it's really hard to overstate how little you can see. You really can only see the water splashing, flashes of the sky, flashes of blue, flashes of green. And so it's hard to tell what direction you're swimming in, and there are times where I'm going perpendicular to the direction I want to be going in. And so, the kayak is super important to help me stay on track. In the evening, we normally find a safe place to dock. Good evening from the Agbechi Living Water Expedition. Today is day 29. I'm laughing because it's still really hard for me to know the days. It's day 29. We have almost reached Akosombo, which is quite something to think about. I remember when it was day 0 and the expedition seemed like it would take forever, which it has. Today is day 40. Today is the last day of the Agbechi Living Water Expedition, at least in terms of us being on the boat and me swimming in the river. And I have just 18 kilometers left to go to reach the estuary where the Volta River joins the Gulf of Guinea.
Or perhaps when we're getting closer. Maybe.
This one. Sorry, this is the one I was talking about.
Okay, so we're here and we're trying to aim for the point where we almost hit the ocean. And so if I measure the remaining distance left, we have between 15 and 16 kilometers. Or 17 kilometers maximum. So she's going to swim the first 12 and then do the final for the next 2 hours, and then do the final 5 with after an hour's break.
I experience a number of different feelings and emotions when I'm swimming and afterwards too. I mean, obviously I feel tired. I feel tired all the time and my muscles are aching. But I also do experience a lot of joy. I mean, there's really breathtaking sights that you're able to see that are even better than if you were in a kayak or in a boat, because you're right there in the water, and you feel so much closer. I also even in a way like it when the water is rough, because I don't feel afraid, I'm just able to feel the energy of the water, and it's an extremely energetic time. So I really enjoyed that. I'm here taking a snack break. Make sure I stay hydrated and have enough energy for the next 20 minutes or swimming. Alrighty. It's so physically taxing to swim for a long distance, and also specifically to swim long distances several days in a row back to back. It's really tiring. And so there is an element of having to fight the tiredness and also fight the tedium and fight the boredom to just keep doing it. So that's been something that's been quite difficult. There's not been a point where I wanted to give up, but there have been many points where I felt very fed up. Felt very fed up. Just finished my morning swim. It was about 2 hours and 20 minutes. And yeah, I'm feeling really tired today, surprisingly actually. So I was like, gonna have a lie down for an hour and then continue. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I finished the expedition, I finished the swim. I can't believe how long the last part was. I'm very extremely tired, but very satisfied. It was very great to see the estuary, and I was just saying that I felt very encouraged when I could taste the salt in the water. Up until then I was like about to cry, and then I tasted the salt and I was like, all right, we're about to finish, so that's good.
Well, that's it for this week's show, and as ever, thank you for joining us. Before we head off, don't forget you can catch loads of great travel content from the BBC by checking out the handles on your screen right now. We'll be back on the road very soon, but until then, from me, Rajan Datar, and the rest of the Travel Show team here in Bruges, it's goodbye.